This is Tech Addicts. This week there's some new devices from Microsoft, Surface devices. Lenovo might be doing a new Think phone. Razer has a powerful Android tablet for cloud gaming. And Netflix annoys everyone. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. I'm your host Gareth and this is Ted.
Hello everyone, it's Sunday again, and it's a sunny day. It's Sunday. Sunday. It's sunny day. The sun is out, and it's like at the middle of summer again here. Is the sun out there?
The sun is hiding. It's obscured behind a large mantra of cloud. I don't know why I'm using mantra. It just popped into my head, and I felt that's an interesting word. I'll fire that word out instead. So yes, the mantra of clouds are across the sky. You can't see the sun, and life is a wee bit blander than it is.
Lucky you, I say.
Although it was very stormy last night, there was all kinds of noise and things around the garden. So
yeah, it's been quite windy yesterday. I noticed that. I had to get on my moped, and I got absolutely drenched. I only went a mile up the road, and when I got back, all my clothes were soaking wet.
Wow, okay.
I had to jump in the shower and get warm again. It's quite funny, really. Yeah.
Have you even considered getting a proper car so that this doesn't happen?
Well, the best thing to do really is, I mean, I have had a car, and I've had cars all my life, but the point of doing this here is because I never go anywhere, and it costs so much less money to have a little moped to pootle around the town. And that was the point of it, really. So I don't have a car, and I benefit from not having all the knock-on costs of having a car.
Why don't you get that new one, the wee Citroen that's just come out, the wee electronic one that does a maximum of 30 miles an hour and travels 28 miles on a charge, and it's got no road tax or anything like that. It's dirt cheap.
Really? How much?
Yeah. I think it's like $4,000 or something like that.
Wow.
It's cool looking as well.
Yeah, will I fit in it?
It's possible. You may have to cut your legs off and put them in the boot, but it's about the size of a Mini, I would imagine, but with only 2 seats.
I don't fit in a Mini. I did have a smart car once, and that was fine because it only has 2 seats in it. But the last time I tried to sit in a Mini, I literally didn't fit in it. I could not get my knees underneath the steering wheel.
Citroen Amy, A-M-I.
Oh, the Citroen have done an Amy before. In the 1970s, I had a Citroen. Oh, it was an AMI. A-M-I, yeah, that's right. Oh.
Yeah, it's basically that, but they brought it back. And you can see how it does look like that original 70s AMI. The one with the boot on the back, and they kind of squished it up.
Yeah.
But it's a groovy wee car. I quite like them, and if I could, I would have one. But my commute
that's really funny, isn't it? It looks like a smart car, actually. Well, no, it looks like the idea of a smart car. I think they tried to kind of copy the idea, and they've made it really cute. It looks like a little girly bubble, doesn't it?
From 20 quid a month.
Wow.
That's all. I love that idea. I think that this is going to be revolutionising local town car type things, where people have smart cars. This is even cheaper again.
One of the doors opens the other way.
Oh yeah, I hadn't noticed that.
That's weird, isn't it?
Maybe they both open the other way.
£20 a month with a £2,700 deposit. Wow, that's amazing. I've never heard of this.
You going to get one of these?
Well, I don't know. If I knew I could fit in it, I might consider it. But because that's a really good price, isn't it? And
you could test drive it.
You've also got to have all the gubbins to be able to plug it in as well. That's the trouble. You'd have to set your life up around it, having an electric vehicle.
Well, electric vehicles, they can charge off a 3-pin plug now.
Right.
So all you need is just to hang one out the window or something like that, and you can let it charge overnight. And I imagine that the battery power that's in here would probably do you for the one time you have to run up the road in the pissing rain, and back down again.
I thought it was quite funny though. I thought when I came back, I thought getting completely drenched. It was like being, like 15 again and getting caught in the rain, and it was just funny. Incidentally, your £4,000 that you quoted, it's not. It's 7,700 quid.
Oh, sorry.
So it's quite a lot more than you were suggesting.
Well, that was just off the top of my head, just what I could have muster or something like that. But at 46-mile range, so it's even better than what I said. I thought it was about 28-mile range. But maybe this is a newer version than what I looked at before.
How do you? 4.8p a mile is what the. Oh no, that's the. You see, they're trying to sell a lease deal essentially on their own website. My question was going to be, I wonder how much per mile it will cost for the electricity, but I'm sure someone else has worked that out. Steve Litchfield will work it out. How much you buy this thing for $7,000, and then how long does it take to recoup not buying petrol and not paying road tax and not doing this and that and the other?
Yeah, well, Top Gear gave it 9 out of 10. Now that Top Gear is devoid of Jeremy Clarkson, whereas if Jeremy Clarkson was there, he would have given it 1 out of 10. But 9 out of 10 seems to be quite a generally good score. But listeners, do you have one of these? Are you thinking about getting one of these? Let us know, because I think they are really cracker things. If I didn't have a heavy commute out to my office, I would have one of these.
I wonder why the doors open different ways. That's really odd, isn't it?
To let people out and let people in.
Thank you.
Or maybe you can select. Maybe you can swap them right. No, I suppose you can't, given the position of the handle. Right. But it has a wee flap like you had on the 2CV, so you can open the window. The window opens halfway.
Oh yeah, so it does. That was that my original Citroen ME had that as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did.
I'm amazed you had the original one.
And also the gear stick was in the dash, so you changed gears in the middle of the dashboard. It wasn't in the floor. I really liked that little Citroen. I thought it was nice. It was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 2CV or the Dolly. Yeah, the other one was the. Anyway, we digress. Well, I suppose it's technology, isn't it?
It is. Oh, no, absolutely. This works in Tech Addict's favour. It was unplanned and unresearched, as is everything else. But, this is the first of its kind, I would say, to be a mass market version of these. I know there are other ones that you can get, like the G-Wiz and crap like that, but this is the first one that really sort of turned heads, and I've seen quite a few YouTube videos where people have got one of these and they're driving about in it and saying that it is genuinely good. So I'd like to think that other companies are now going to jump on the bandwagon and get something similar out there. Imagine if, say, Dacia or Dacia, however you want to pronounce it, decide to do one and cut that price right down to about $4,000.
Yeah,
where we were talking about originally.
Mm-hmm.
So you could trade in your car, or your moped, and try and get £2,700, and then pay essentially a mobile subscription.
Yeah, it's quite limiting though. 28 miles, isn't it? Thinking it a bit.
46.
Further, oh, sorry, 46 miles is it? 46 miles. Yeah, I mean that would work for me, but because I don't really go very far, and it would be fine. But for other people, like you just described about your lifestyle, you couldn't possibly do it. You'd have to be someone who, like me, who just poodles around locally, wouldn't you?
Yes, and poodling does sound quite fun. I would like to do that, and I would like to do it with Imogen Poots as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There we go. Moving on, we could just jump straight into the feedback and contributions, because Steve Heinrich has recommended a service called Free Your Music. And he says of it that if you're looking to switch subscription music streaming services, it makes transferring your playlists and songs easier with Free Your Music. All works inside their cloud, so no upload-download by the user. A way to move your collection of playlists and songs from one music service to another. This saves a lot of time for those who have a ton of songs collected in one service. I would like to say that it's probably worth the premium cost, considering the time saved and the amount of music services offered. The premium plan also offers some nice syncing and backup features for those who move services often. Personally, I would pay once to transfer somewhere else and then cancel. There's also apparently the free Tune My Music, according to Daniel de Russia. So, yeah, I remember this being a thing way back when. I looked into this because I was on Spotify and moved to YouTube Music. Mm-hmm. And I've just abandoned all my playlists in Spotify. And whenever Steve pointed this out, I went and tried to log back into my Spotify to see if I could get them all. And I failed miserably because I can't find my password. And requesting a new password was being difficult, and two-factor authentication and all that kind of stuff. I just gave up in the end and decided, well, I'll just let my playlists die.
Yeah. Pricing,
have you used this?
No, I haven't. Pricing is £10 for the basic lifetime. £2 something a month for the £34 a year thingy. So you can pay that monthly or annually. But the lifetime auto sync and everything super premium membership is £175. You'd have to really want this to pay that, wouldn't you? But yeah.
But then why would you need to do it more than once?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, you might be someone like you with your browsers who every other week decides you're going to use a different browser. Someone might say every other week, I want to be able to pay. I want to be able to move my collection somewhere else. But the thing is that you've got to remember is that this is not physically removing your collection and downloading it and uploading it again. These are just hooks into the service, aren't they? As I understand it. Unless, Steve, you say otherwise. Because I remember spending about, 3.5 weeks uploading all my music to Google when I went to Google Music. And you don't do all that. And I don't think that Free Your Music is doing that either. I think it's just, it's about the hooks, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it says, take, for example, looking at their service inventory, you've got Amazon Music. So transfer from Amazon Music to Amazon Music.
Yeah, that's about odd, isn't it?
Right. You can transfer from Amazon Music to Apple Music. So if I click on that, oh no, we have to download the client to be able to do that. Transfer your playlists, songs, and favourite albums from Amazon Music to Apple Music with this, and migrate your playlist in a few steps. So I don't know that, say for example, we have done this where we've taken all our MP3s and gone and dumped them into Google Play Music whenever it was a thing. I don't even know if they're still there now that it's YouTube Music. I haven't gone to check. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. But do other music services take your music as well? If you were to open up a subscription to SoundCloud, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Deezer, can you then transfer your whole music library that you have in YouTube Music to those, or are we just talking about playlists and play histories?
I think it's the latter. I don't think they would have the right to download and upload all your music. Even if it's stuff that you previously uploaded. I could be wrong. Steve, do correct us if I am. Have you seen that little thing in the top right-hand corner of their website? That's really cute. It's a little, dangly pull cord.
Light chain, yeah.
A light cord, which if you click on it, it turns white. If you click it again, it turns black. That's really
nice.
Cute.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. And this other one, Tune My Music, according to Daniel, is free and does kind of a similar job. So that might be worth checking out as well. I didn't know that one.
Right, okay, yeah. Because where Google Play Music failed to provide some of the albums that I do have, I was able to put them into Google Play Music in my own library. But then whenever you search for them, they don't necessarily come up. So if I was to say to Google to play a particular album that they don't have, it'll end up going to YouTube and finding some sort of ripped music that someone's illegally uploaded to YouTube.
Right.
and probably try and play that back or the music video instead of actually going, oh, hang on a second, you've got the full album in your own collection.
Yeah.
So you have to go and find those yourself.
Yeah. It was. I remember when I uploaded all mine, which took forever. It was all very kind of. I didn't quite really understand what it was doing at the time, but it did. In answer to your previous question, they offered a window where you could transfer from Google Play Music to YouTube Music.
Yeah,
and you had to do it within a certain time by a deadline, and I did that, and it all was just transferred automatically. Yeah.
Oh no, I've gone into my library and I can see all of my albums that I have uploaded in the past, and the ones that aren't available.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on a second. YouTube Music uploads. Yeah, you go into there, and then there's the snuff albums that don't exist on Google Play Movies or Music.
Oh right, okay. Snuff.
That's a British punk band.
Right. Anyway,
but yeah,
good
we only
stuff.
have a couple of them. Aye, good recommendation. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, so hardware news. It's a big week for Microsoft because they've announced a bunch of new devices, and these are the Surface devices. And they're expensive
And boring
They're very
as well.
They are pretty boring. What is it? $4,000 for an i7 with a NVIDIA RTX 360 or 3060 inside it, which seems a little bit more expensive than it should be. But they have announced a couple of other things as well, which are quite interesting. Say, for example, the audio dock.
Ooh, yeah.
I thought of you when I saw this.
Yeah, I fancy that. It looks like a little music audio dock that it looks like it's in the style of something from Google or from Anchor or something. You know, covered in cloth and really nicely bulbous shaped. They've obviously put all the hooks in it to work properly with Teams. And it will work with all. I mean, I don't use Teams, so I don't know. But apparently, you can. It's got functions like raise your hand if you're in a team meeting and that sort of thing. But more importantly for me, it should be able to be used as a speaker as well for music and whatever, and also as a dock, as a hub, and it's got pass-through charging, and that it looks really, really nice. So I really fancy one of those. But the hoo-ha about the Studio was that, you're quite right. The hardware that they've put inside the Studio 2 Plus is not reflective of a Studio 3, which is what they were all saying they were expecting. All these Microsoft fans were expecting a Studio 3. But no, it's a 2 Plus, and it's got 2-year-old hardware in it. And they're charging over $4,000 for it, as you say. And everyone's kind of up in arms about that and saying, it's not really a move forward. Also, the other things, the Pro 9, the Surface Pro 9 and the laptop, everyone's kind of shrugging about that as well, saying, well, there's nothing much new here. And in fact, one thing that's been taken away from it has been the 3.5mm audio out jack and microphone in jack. And this is just all downgrades, basically. And what are Microsoft up to?
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but I suppose, what are they going to do? Maybe they can't get the hardware in there. They couldn't upgrade from the 3060 to anything else because the 4060, has it even been announced yet? I think they did the 4090 and the 4080, but I don't think that we've got a 4070 or 4060 yet. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I can't remember. So, the latest version of graphics cards aren't quite there, so they just had to go with what they did before.
They could put an i9 in it for a start, and they could have called it the Studio 3 instead of the Studio 2 Plus. They could have,
but that would have been too obvious.
Well,
if they had called it the Studio 3, it would be like, no, it's not.
It's not. It's just the 2 with bells on. You should have called it 2 Plus.
It hasn't even got bells on.
But they could have not taken away the 3.5mm from the the Surface.
Yeah.
What's it? So that's only one small point, but it's just like, what are you doing, Microsoft? Let's have something. And there was nothing about the Duo 2 and Android 12L, which they do say is still coming soon. But we're all sitting here with our Duo devices waiting for 12L and a nice shiny new taskbar and other hooks into Microsoft Windows and all that, and nothing.
Well, they are pushing 5G as one of the big upgrades as well, where they've put in a 5G modem, because no one else has done that yet.
Oh, okay. We'll give them that then.
And it's available in different colours, sizes and finishes.
Mm.
I did think that the marketing ads were a bit wishy-washy too. They were just so generic and typical. And they didn't really show you too much. They show you like crumbling rocks and paint dust and stuff flying about, flowers and things. And the hinge, that's it.
Yeah.
It's hardly revolutionary. And as a result, here on the Tech Alex, we're just going to move on, because there's more exciting things to talk about.
Okay.
Google's going to open its first data center in Japan in 2023. I suppose this is kind of good news, given that recently we've been threatened by Russia and nuclear attacks and things like that. And one of the first places they're probably going to go for is the 2 data centers in England, because that would cause worldwide pandemonium if they were to be taken out. Just to throw that fear center out there. So having a new one in Japan would probably help things a little. What can we expect here?
I don't know, really. I'm not
Good.
sure. They are building. Are Google not likely building data centers all over the place? I'm not sure why this one's hit the news, really, apart from maybe what you just said. Faster, more reliable access to stuff in Japan and the area. I'm not sure. How has this made the cut?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of maybe they were doing something along the lines of Microsoft. Remember a couple of years ago, Microsoft were testing data centers at the bottom of the ocean?
Underwater, yeah.
Yeah, and that seemed to go nowhere.
Yeah. I wonder where this one is in Japan. Maybe it is underwater.
I wouldn't put it there, because it's quite a volcanic zone, or an earthquakey zone.
Yeah.
Having a data center under there might be a bad idea.
Yeah. I really can't find anything to say about this story. I reject it and take it out.
Fair enough. We'll move on to some more interesting news. The iPhone 5C will become obsolete next month. Moving on.
This is a bit sad. I wanted to just do a hark back here, because I really like my iPhone 5C. All the iPhones that have come and gone, this had the feel of an old Nokia about it. It had all these lovely colours, and the back was this hard plastic, and it kind of went round the edges, so the screen kind of sat in this shell, or so it appeared, which is very, very Nokia, and I'm sure they nicked the idea from Nokia. But it was just a really iconic product, and it's a bit of a shame. I know it's a long time ago, and it's fair enough that they're being 2013 it was that it came out, so it's like nearly 10 years. It has already been marked as obsolete, incidentally, but the difference with this, it's been marked as what's the word?
Vintage product.
Vintage product, yeah. And it's now being... the difference is that now what they're doing is they're saying they're not repairing them. So their repair centres and their Apple shops will not carry parts for them, and so that's what obsolete means. You can't get them repaired, yeah.
So they replaced these with, was it the 5E came after these?
The 5... C, I think, came after the 5, then the next one was the 6.
Right, so they're not doing anything like this with the kind of the flavoured, funky, low-value ones to replace these.
No,
it is just
no.
You have to pay a large amount of money in order to have an iPhone.
Which is a shame, really, because I think that it's a real good... You see, Japanese teenagers would love this, and they did. I'm sure they did. I don't know why other people are not doing this kind of funky colour thing. It relies on firms like Polaroid and Kodak, and people that are not making phones, essentially, to get out there and colorize things.
Well, I would say that the Japanese teenagers that did love these probably aren't teenagers anymore, given that this was back in 2013. They would be significantly older.
That's a fair point. Anyway, I love them, and I think it's very sad.
Yes, yes. It was a nice idea, and it was interesting to see Apple using plastics, which is something that they don't generally do. They always have some sort of swanky glass or metallic thing in there to level up. Okay, so more than 4 in 10 PCs still can't upgrade to Windows 11, which is bonkers. And this basically boils down to the TPM issues that the motherboard might have, and people aren't exactly racing out feeling the need to upgrade their PCs in order to get it onto Windows 11 because they're quite satisfied with Windows 10. Yeah. For example, Mr. Ted Salmon.
Yeah, it's exactly my
What are you going to do?
I've got 2 Windows 11 laptops, and I do like using them. It's fine, but my Windows 10 main computer is absolutely fine as well. I don't feel the need to get Windows 11 on board. It just doesn't really... The differences, to me, are not visible, and it just works absolutely fine. The problem's going to come in, is it 2025, when they pull the plug on it? I think it's 25. And then you've got to say to yourself, right, I mean, you and I have been through this. We analysed my computer between us, and we decided that it was going to cost quite a lot of money to upgrade it, basically. There are some components that would be all right, but a new motherboard was going to be about 300 quid, wasn't it, as I seem to remember.
Well, it depends on what you were going for.
Yeah.
I just did I've got all the parts sitting beside me here to upgrade my son's computer so that he can move on to Windows 11. And I think in total, well, I didn't have to buy a new graphics card because the one he's got will do, but it worked out about 320 quid for a fairly decent entry-level i5 array. You know, it's not a bad computer. It'll do for his silly games that he does play. And it means I can retire the old i7-920 that I think I've had for about, it must be close to 20 years, maybe 15 years or something like that, of hard labour that processor and motherboard's done. I'm going to give it a place on a shelf to retire to.
Fair enough. But I don't feel like I should be forced into paying 300 quid by Microsoft just so that I can get Windows 11 going when there's nothing wrong with Windows 10.
Yeah. And there's also, whenever Windows 10 does come to the end of its shelf life, or in 2025, I reckon Linux distros will be of such a compatible force that you will be able to choose one of those and have just as nice a time as you would do with Windows 11. It's coming that way. We're getting close.
Okay. I've got no experience with Linux, like I said on the last show, so I would need to start learning about how that works and for example, how I run Microsoft 365, which I need to do with the products that are involved in that.
Bottles. Dead easy. Bottles.
Bottles.
Compatibility program that runs any Windows application on Linux.
All right. Well, I've got some learning ahead of me. If it'll save me 300 quid.
Well, whenever I was watching a video about bottles quite recently, and I was thinking about trying to put it on my Chromebook to see if I could run. What was it? Publisher that you were complaining about that you couldn't get an alternative to on Chromebook or on Linux in general, and if Bottles was to run Windows Publisher, Microsoft Publisher, then you would be on board.
Fiendish.
Uh-huh. All right, MediaTek have announced yet another new processor, the Dimensity 1080, which does have a bit of a bump in CPU and efficiency performance, which is great, but I think these new processors are coming a wee bit too fast, because whenever a phone or a tablet or something is announced that has this in it, by the time it actually reaches the market, there will be a new processor to steal its thunder in the months to come.
Well, it's not their fault, because it's the manufacturer's fault for upgrading all their hardware. As I understand it, the sole reason for this being released is because it supports 200 megapixel sensors in cameras. And previously, the 108 megapixels were supported by the Dimensity 1000, or the 1050 was it, or something. And so if you've got Motorola and the like pushing, and Xiaomi pushing out 200 megapixel cameras, then they wouldn't be able to kind of keep up with that. So it's the forward surge of everything, isn't it?
It's a bit of a bonkers naming convention, come to think of it, because the 1000 supported 108 megapixels. Now, though, 1080 supports 200 megapixels.
Very confusing.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So, and also at 4K video. So the previous one didn't do that, and this one will. Where's the 6G anyway? That'll be the next thing. This is these are all 5G. They'll be like, oh no, we've got to bring the Dimensity 1090 now because we need 6G on it.
Yeah, or they'll end up calling it something completely the 2000 because it supports the 2000 or the 200 megapixel sensors. Yeah. All right. Well. Speaking of 6G, which the government is due to start sort of dealing with and handing out. Frequency costings and things like that for. I'm trying to segue here, Ted. I don't think it's working terribly well, but the government tend to do that, and they take money for people to be able to utilise it. The government also do that with gigabit broadband too, where houses can cost, various houses, developers can pay up to £1,500 or £3,500 for businesses to get gigabit capable broadband to their door. You kind
of got there in the end, didn't you?
I did. It was a very long way around, but I'm glad the listeners. Well, it's possible that a couple of listeners probably have turned off, going, "What the hell? This is too hard work listening to this boy." Anyway, yes, they're now they're putting up the price of the voucher scheme for developers to be putting broadband into homes and businesses, and it's going to drive up the prices of broadband, really, isn't it?
As I understand it, and I don't really know much about this voucher scheme, to be honest, but as I understand it, if you live in a rural location where you do not get, is it 1,000 Mbps routinely? I'm not sure how they measure.
Lowercase b, establish that, not uppercase b. Steve will crucify you.
100, anyway, whatever it is, units, 100 of them. If you don't get that. Now, I went to put my email address, my postcode into the service to see if I qualified, and I don't. Even though I consider that where I live in North Wales is really quite rural, it wasn't. They said it's urban, and you don't get a voucher. And the way that these vouchers work, as I understand it, is that if you do qualify, you can then, through a developer, so through an ISP, you can't just do this independently. The money claimed goes to the ISP. And so it goes into the infrastructure that the ISP are going to promise to put into place in order to make this happen. It doesn't go to you so that you can pay the ISP to do it, or the developer to do it. It's all tied up with... it's not really for individuals at all. It's just for ISP developers.
Oh, right, okay. I've done mine as well. I'm not eligible for a voucher because I'm classified as urban.
Yeah, well, you see, similarly, I don't think that where you live is urban, but perhaps it is. Maybe you.
No, it is. I live in the city of Bangor. No.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay. Well, I don't live in a city, and I live out in the sticks, as far as I'm concerned, in a very small town. And that doesn't qualify either. And I don't get 100 Mbps at all. The best I can hope for is 72, I think it is, on a broadband landline. My mum and dad get 72. So there you are.
All right, okay. I'm just looking up on my friend Donal lives out in, I believe his address is arse end of nowhere. And if I was to put, do I have his postcode? Anyway, no, I don't. It's not in there. Ugh.
Anyway, the news is that the government are making more money available for this plan. The voucher scheme has increased, and this article doesn't say what it's increased from. But it does say it's increased to, as you said earlier, £1,500 per home and £3,500 per business. I wonder what it was before.
Less.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very helpful.
All right. Without having to even try to do a segue from one to the other here, I'm just going to go with nothing. Dell have a new wireless mouse that's coming out that has a twisted end to it that you can turn round to turn it off.
Yay!
This is the MS700. Why do you like this?
Well, for a couple of reasons, really. Firstly, if you are travelling and you've got a bag, you can quickly make sure that it's powered off. I know Mises tend to power themselves off anyway, but I quite often lift one up in a drawer or something and then realise it's switched on still because I see a blue light suddenly come out of it. Turn this thing round and it kind of turns into an S shape, very, very attractively, and it's off. And you know it's off, put it in your bag. But the other reason is that, and I mean, I've got used to my Logitech mouse now, and I love this scroll wheel on it, and I love the way it endlessly scrolls. So you wouldn't get that with this. But the scroll wheel is a trackpad, and I don't think I've seen one before that's actually a segment. I've seen that Apple do the Magic Mouse where the scroll is kind of just invisible, it's just there. But to actually have a section in the front of the mouse that is the trackpad to do that with, I think that's quite attractive. And they're obviously trying to copy the Surface mouse because it looks almost exactly the same. And very ergonomic. It looks like it's going to be very nice under the hand. And naysayers removed, and you don't get to say it's rubbish because I like it. And it takes 2 AA batteries. Hooray!
Oh, right, okay, so it's not rechargeable. Right.
No, we don't want rechargeable rubbish.
I see.
AA batteries.
And the bottom turns so you don't have to find the off switch on the bottom.
Exactly.
That most wireless mice have, if not all.
This article really poo-poos it, but I like it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm with Sharon Harding on this.
It's only $65. What sort of spelling of Sharon is that?
Hers.
SCHARON. Anyway,
What's wrong with that?
$65, I think, is a really good price for this, personally.
Nah, I think I'll pass. I think it looks like a Microsoft Arc that
it does.
They accidentally broke during development,
yeah.
And they're just trying to pass it off as a design twist.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I'll leave that for you. You can have those.
Watch out, bargain basement. We'll have that in there soon.
All right. One thing that we are getting from Lenovo now is using the ThinkPad branding on a smartphone. There are some low-res shots that have been received by, was it 91 Mobile or something like that? I can't quite work out what their thing says. But Evan Blass has a low-resolution render of a smartphone that he believes is the Think Phone. Because there's a badge on the back that looks like Think Phone. Rumoured to have a Snapdragon 8 plus 1 Gen, or plus Gen 1, sorry, or the Gen 2 chipset inside of it, and a rear camera of 50 megapixels with 13 megapixel ultra-wide and 2 megapixel depth. This could be a bit of a beastie of a work phone. More so than anything, because that's what the ThinkPad was, a working laptop. Ted, do you think this is the upcoming Motorola Bronco?
It looks like it, doesn't it? And that's what even Blass is saying pretty much, is that there's the Bronco, the Motorola Bronco is in the making. So they've even got the same model number, the XT2309. So it looks like it's just Lenovo getting into bed with Motorola and trying to resell one of their phones like they've done with laptops and Chromebooks and tablets, and just rebranding them. And this ThinkPad, what did you call it? Think what?
Think Phone.
Think Phone. The whole Think thing, it seems to be quite ingrained with Lenovo, doesn't it? They seem to feel as though they've got quite a lot of success with that. I think didn't it come from IBM or something originally?
Yes, it's the best-selling laptop that's ever existed, is it not? The Think Book.
Yeah, that's right. But it does look nice. I do agree with you. But then I like Motorola phones anyway. The usual caveat comes along with Lenovo Roller, though, which is about updates. Although I did notice that the latest Motorola flagship, they're promising 3 years of OS updates now, so maybe it's getting better.
Yeah, that's something we haven't heard before, is it? All right. Moving on to e-waste. There's 5 billion phones to be thrown away in 2022, and I think that there was another statistic that came up with, was it in 2025, there's scheduled to be 74 billion tons or something like that of e-waste that we're going to need to get rid of. And just conveniently, I got an email from CEX saying e-waste is at an all-time high. Sell us your old devices and we'll sell them on to someone else. So I think there's still companies out there profiteering on e-waste and keeping things in circulation as opposed to going and getting rid of those phones that you have sitting in your drawers and stuff. I've actually started doing that because on the one hand, they are nice to have, but you don't. I certainly don't need as many as I've collected over the years. I'll maybe just keep a few of them. But getting rid of the older ones is not only just a fairly decent idea to free up space and have them mined for their materials, but also it's a lot safer too because batteries can explode and stuff like that. Ted, what do you think about e-waste?
I think it's a bit worrying, really, isn't it? Because, but on the other hand, what are you going to do with this? What is the solution to this? Because we all drive technology forward, and we all want to have stuff as cheap as possible. Nobody wants to be paying companies to take back things and rejuvenate stuff in order to make new stuff with the stuff that's already out there, because no one's going to profit from that. It's all about money, isn't it? And if you owned a company that was potentially selling phones and you had to then spend a load of your own profits back into taking them back. I mean, they've done this with batteries, haven't they? They fought, the government in the UK have forced battery makers to face up to the fact that people just chuck them into landfill, and they've put bins in cities anyway around streets and in supermarkets, and they said, yeah, you've got to do this. And I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take governments making people do things in order to make it go forward. I don't know what the answer is. It's our fault, I think, for just wanting a new phone every 12 and a half minutes. And I do agree that I'm guilty of that as well. However, I don't often get a new phone. I do tend to get a second-hand one. I don't know. I got mixed feelings about the whole thing. But the figures are scary. And you think 74 million tonnes a year. That's got to go somewhere. If no one's recycling that properly, it's got to go somewhere. We've been recycling stuff in this country, in the UK, for decades now, haven't we? Right back. And so why isn't that working? Why is this still a problem?
Well, it never has worked. If you have a look at, say, for example, Nigeria, you'll see that our old electronics end up in rivers in Nigeria, and there's kids climbing about trying to strip copper wires and things like that out of old electronics. Yeah. It's horrendous to see, and it should actually go back to the tech billionaires who are designing new technologies, but instead of innovating, they're just pushing out the same old thing with the same old problem. It's a bit like, say, for example, Coca-Cola has never really changed the way that it does things, because it's just relying on the taxpayer to deal with their waste. Now, they do have sort of initiatives and things like that they have failed to meet time and time again. And that's where the government should actually be stepping in and going, hang on a second, no. You keep saying that you will reach this goal by 2027, and you don't, and then you push it back by a long time to give you more time to be able to reach carbon neutral or whatever. So we need the likes of Apple and Google to be coming out with new initiatives, not just turning their headquarters into a solar capital, which, that runs off of solar electricity and nothing else, but actually producing things and taking the billions that they make and putting it into developing actual new hardware that saves the planet and powers your device in the untraditional methods. We need a revolution here, a shake-up, and there's certainly the money available, and they're just pocketing it and handing it out to their shareholders.
And Amazon.
And Amazon as well. All the big companies are very much guilty of it. Mm-hmm. You know, Microsoft are demanding $4,000 for their new Surface Studio, which is nothing new. But all those profits will just go into the shareholder's pocket. Yeah. And not actually develop anything new at all. And it'll be up to basically taxpayers and tax initiatives for them to be able to dispose of these things. And they'll be able to claim back money through tax initiatives because they're starting to recycle. And that's what the government are doing, is allowing them to take these, say battery returns and claim off of their monthly or yearly tax return to say that, yeah, we spent $12 million recycling batteries. And then they'll just turn up in some Nigerian river with children clambering around them. It's a farce. And, I would watch John Oliver quite frequently, and he frequently calls them out and obviously gives a spiel that is much more intelligent, well put together than what I just attempted to do. But, they're... The tech companies need to stand up and take some of those billions and trillions that they're pocketing and actually invest it back into a system that keeps technology safe, not only to us, but to the earth.
But they won't do that unless they're forced. The likes of Nokia, for example, have started to do that about, buy a phone from us and we'll plant
but that's
some,
that's the word that you've used. Started. Yeah. How long has Nokia been about?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And Fairphone as well. If we're looking at phone companies, there are firms that are kind of trying to do something. But you're right. The big ones don't seem to be bothering. And that's a bit of a worry, I think. It's one of the prices of capitalism, isn't it? Capitalism means that you can make money however you like, the great American way, if you like. And, you can, well, not just America, but Britain as well, that, the rich feed on the rich and you make more money. And that's how people are judged in terms of success in life. And it's a bit of a worry. I say bring in communism.
That's one way forward, I suppose. But if you have a look at Russia during the 80s and their communistic ways, they certainly did more damage to the environment. If you head out into the wastes of Siberia, you'll find old nuclear silos with stuff just left in it, wasting away, fuel spent, just dribbling into the ground and things. Yeah, you need a proper shake-up. Actually, there's a fella who lives fairly close to me, and he had a big junkyard. And he wanted to build houses on it, but they wouldn't let him. He was just outside of the green belt, or just inside of it, or whatever, but they wouldn't let him do that. So he decided he would turn all of his property or his land into an eyesore and open up this huge junkyard where he had old trucks and all these sorts of things that he brought in, and he went and kept going to the council going, look, I'll remove this if you let me build some houses. I'll put some nice houses in there. It'll look like a lovely little village. It'd be great. And they went, no, sorry. So he just brought more and more. He actually bought a nuclear submarine from Russia to bring in there. But because of European laws and things like that, he wasn't actually able to. So it's currently sitting up somewhere in a port. I don't know exactly where, but he spent a large amount of money on this. But over the 10 or so years that he was doing this protest, the lead batteries and things like that inside the trucks all started to degrade and leak into the ground. And whenever they went to move the green belt and say, okay, well, we'll have a look at your land and see if you can build on it. And they went, no, your land is condemned because it's polluted so badly. And now he's stuck with this land that he can't build on for, the next 50 odd years because he polluted it so badly. Right. That's what we're going to be dealing with. That's a funny old game, isn't it?
A worry, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of worries,
and capitalism,
Oh no, wait. Bolsonaro didn't win the Brazilian elections. Lula did, or what? I've forgotten his name. The new prime minister or president of Brazil. But one big step in the right direction is that Apple is getting another $19 million fine in Brazil for not shipping their phones with chargers. Wow.
They don't care, do they? They've already been fined, what was it, $25 million by Brazil, and they just paid it, and they're just going to do the same this time as well. It's a bit pointless, really, isn't it? You see, Apple are claiming that they're trying to do something about the e-waste, that not shipping chargers with their boxes, and the likes of, us and users are saying, we want a charger in our box, we should get one in the price. But in reality, those chargers often are sat in a drawer and end up in landfill. So, we do give out mixed messages, I think, to some degree. So either you get these companies to do something positive, like not charging. The best thing that Apple... Was it Apple that did this? I think it was. No, maybe it was Google. They were saying... No, I think it was Apple. They were saying, if you want a charger, send this voucher in, we'll send you one for free. Was that Apple?
I don't think so, no.
Maybe it was Nokia. It was someone. And they said...
Or Huawei, maybe.
They said, well, you are not including a charger, but if you really need one, here's the voucher in the box, send it to us, or, go online or whatever, and we will send you a charger. Really good solution, I thought. But no one's doing that.
Last week, whenever I read this particular story, I took a drawer, this one here, and I collected together all the chargers I could get, and I figured I would count them. I forgot to count them, but I'll count them now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 18 chargers all in one drawer, from various phones and things like that over the years. 2 of them are European ones, because I got a European model sent to me. But yeah, I don't have them paired up with a phone, and I've got rid of some of the phones, and whenever I've got rid of the phones, I've sold them with a charger, or I've given them away with a charger. But I don't know where these have actually all originated from. Yeah. I can't work it out. I don't know. I think they breed. I do.
Yeah. I've got similar... I've got a drawer here with similar number of chargers in, most of which I don't know what they're for. You're quite right. And we don't need chargers to be shipped, I don't think, half the time. But for the half time that we do, then, as I say, voucher scheme, much better idea. And then everyone can help towards e-waste.
Well, yeah, I think it should be, say, for example, CEX, whenever they are taking a trade-in or they're taking a new phone, they should ask for a charger with it.
Yes, and they don't, do they?
And then they can push it on through and recycle it with the charger. Yeah. And if someone says, I don't have the charger, then they get a bit knocked off the top of their phone because they weren't able... I think that did happen before when you were... There was... Back whenever we first started getting phones, you were able to trade in your old phone for your new phone. And if you got a better deal if you had a box and a charger with it.
Yeah.
If we did that again, I think we would end up with a slightly happier way of dealing with it. And then whenever someone buys that second-hand phone, they get the charger and maybe the box or a cable with it.
Yeah.
Even if people throw in any old charger and box and things like that, at least... Yeah, they'll do that in order to make £5 or something off the top of their trade-in.
I remember that quite clearly. I've only dealt with CEX once, and I remember sending a phone in to sell to them, and I was really surprised because I've gone to great lengths to keep boxes and chargers, and I try not to open anything in the box so it's all pristine and lovely and new for the next owner. And they just basically said, no, we don't want anything, no case, no nothing, just send the phone. And I was quite surprised.
Yeah, where I think you do better on eBay, and you probably make more money out of it as well, because people will go, oh, that looks cared for, because it's got all the gubbins inside the box. So you'll do better there. But that's not recycling, and that's just sending it off to someone else who could possibly get rid of it or whatever, or sell it on to a different market further abroad or something.
But at
like
least
that.
they're not buying a new one.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyway, we'll work it out. Not us, but someone else will work it out. Someone with intelligence and wit, and probably quite handsome too. And
That'll be
a
me.
polo neck, probably. Okay, so moving into the name of the game. Acer have a launch. Oh, yes, that's right. Acer unleashes their first gaming Chromebook. This is the Acer Chromebook 516GE. Now, this has RGB colouring on the keyboard and stuff like that. It comes with the ability to stream NVIDIA GeForce Now to enable, next generation cloud gaming and things like that. It's all set up so you can do that. This is a thing. This is happening, Ted. This is the second time we've been talking about a Chromebook for gaming. It's incredible, isn't it?
Just as Google dip out of Stadia and then announce this kind of cloud gaming thing instead. I don't quite... I was watching the Friday Checkout last night with Martin, and he was making the same point, really, is that what are Google up to? They ditch Stadia, and then they're encouraging Acer and Asus to bring out gaming Chromebooks with mad RGB backlit keyboards and a new kind of cloud gaming thing. I don't quite understand it, to be honest, but
I wonder if it has something to do with subscriptions, and you'll be able to buy the subscription through the Chromebook, and they'll be able to capture their 30% or whatever of the total value. A bit like we saw with apps and stuff, where Amazon have now withdrawn your ability to purchase digital content through the Amazon app because they're skimming 30% off the top of it. So if you take out a Xbox 360 or the Xbox cloud gaming subscription, will Google be expecting 30% of that?
Right. But laying that aside, I mean, you fancy the hardware, do you? It certainly looks like it's Windows kind of level of hardware, than i7 and loads of storage and loads of RAM and, as I say, lovely backlit RGB keyboard and all that. Do you fancy one?
Oh yeah, it looks gorgeous, and it's got an Ethernet cable on the side and USB Type-C and USB 3.1, HDMI out. There's another port there as well that looks like a USB Type-C, and I'm wondering if one of them is for power. It doesn't actually. It has the 3 dots beside it and a line above it. I don't know if that means that they're the same, but there's an extra bit underneath it. It's a strange looking port, and I'm curious about it to see exactly what it is. And there's a Kensington lock as well on it, so it has everything that you would expect and want. I just wonder how big of an attraction that's going to be to a gamer, and if they're going to go, well, I'll have this because I can get onto Xbox cloud gaming service, because it's not the cheapest either. It's coming out in the US in October for $650, and then it'll be hitting Europe for €1,000, which is quite a. You can get a decent Windows machine for that kind of price. There's an Intel i7P series processor inside of it with 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of PCIe NVMe SSD. So it'll be nippy. The screen is 120 hertz. It has it all going for it. It's just still quite expensive, and you can't easily run Steam on it. You have to go through jumping through hoops, and even then, you've got to wonder if the game that you have on Steam is going to be compatible, because it might not actually be. So I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one, but maybe it's just Acer testing the market and providing people with options early on. And good on you, Acer, for doing that, because they could be the instigator of a whole new gaming revolution. Maybe.
Yeah. It looks lovely though, and it's got a 3.5mm as well, Microsoft, and it does look absolutely beautifully made, doesn't it? But I think you're right. If you were going to spend £1,000 on a laptop of any description, you're not going to buy a Chromebook, I don't think. Well, unless you've got pots of money.
Yeah.
You're going to get a Windows computer or a Mac or something. I don't know. You're missing the point here.
Well, yeah, there is the option of Steam OS as well, which some people say does run a lot nicer than Windows. But again, that's not a Chromebook. You know, you're not going to buy this and then reformat it to install Steam OS on it or dual boot or something like that. It's a strange one, but we'll follow it and see if other manufacturers follow suit and it becomes a whole new thing. Hopefully, it does.
Apparently, a line with 3 dots above it indicates that it is direct current, so it's about power, isn't it?
Grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one is power and data. Yeah.
Well, we're getting a new Steam app, which has hit Android, and I discovered it entirely by accident whenever I was trying to jump in and purchase Cultic, which just came out the other day, and I had to jump through some hoops to get the app to actually work, and then it wouldn't let me purchase it, it wouldn't recognise my PayPal, and there was a whole to-do, and eventually I got it working and signed in, but it's a whole nicer experience, and it looks really nice too. Shopping on the Steam app on Android is really nice too. Well done, Steam, for making it a much nicer affair.
Hurrah.
Initially, it wasn't, but Ted, you avoid Steam, don't you?
Well, as I think I said before, I have got a Steam account somewhere, but I never use it. I don't look at it ever because I'm just not that really into gaming. My enthusiasm for gaming always comes off the back of what you say. And then I kind of dip my toe in the water and then get bored with it in 5 minutes, and then I go back and don't use it. I think I just need to have different games, and to the ones that I see, like the picture here on the screen, Halo Infinite, whatever that is. But it just doesn't look attractive to me. I don't want to play those kind of games. I want to play simple games, puzzle games, and sports emulators like pinball. I downloaded pinball for my PC this week from the Abandonware site, and I had great fun with that. I spent about an hour playing pinball. It was great. It was just really nostalgic and fun. So, all this is for someone else, I think.
Well, I do think that one day you'll eventually go into the Steam store and go, oh my word, where have I been? Because there's just far too many good games in there.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. All right, the last one we have to talk about in gaming tech is the Razer Edge. And this is a new... Well, it is described as an Android tablet, but I somewhat disagree because it's a bit too small to be tablety. It's 6.8 inches, and that's more in the phone territory. And it's a telecommunications device because of the 5G built in there and Wi-Fi and all that. So it's kind of like a dumb phone that fits in between some controllers that you can play games on. And it kind of defies logic that someone would go out and buy another dedicated piece of hardware, a bit like a phone, to put in between said controllers. But NVIDIA reckons that they are going to do this. It has a Snapdragon G3X Gen 1 processor inside it. It supports Wi-Fi 6E, and it's got 5G on the go. There are 6 air vents on the rear to keep the device cool, which I suppose is a big thing. And there's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery that should keep things going. The screen does 144 hertz, so I guess it does have a few special features that does distinguish it from a phone, and maybe will pull in people who want a dedicated gaming device. Ted, are you excited about this at all?
It looks like a Razer phone. I had the Razer Phone 1 and the Razer Phone 2, and you say it's kind of phone territory. It looks like a Razer phone that's a bit bigger. It's even got all the square...
With really thick bezels.
Yeah, thick and square edges, and it just looks like a Razer phone to me. And maybe that's where all the development went in Razer into gaming in terms of handhelds. The Kishi controller thingies, apparently it ships with version 2 of the V2 Pro, a modified version of the the existing one, and it looks like it kind of wraps around the back as well. So it follows the design of the original one. I don't know. I do like the whole Razer thing, and I loved my Razer phone. I thought it was great. But again, I go back to the fact that I probably wouldn't use it because I'm not that into gaming. But yeah, I really like the whole. I don't know. It's in order to do gaming. Well, does it? Can you put it out to a TV screen? I suppose you must be able to, mustn't you?
I don't think they mentioned that actually. No.
Oh right. Okay.
Well, don't take my word for it. I don't see anything. I had a quick read over this earlier on because I very much wanted to find the price of it. But I don't see it saying that it has outputs,
Right.
and given the way that the controller hooks onto it, it uses the top and bottom ends, and I don't see any ports along the sides
Right.
to be able to do that.
Right. Okay. So maybe it's very much standalone then. In which case, it's kind of more akin to a Nintendo almost, isn't it? It depends what you can get onto it, I suppose.
But at $400, it's not the worst pricing in the world. It'll probably be £400 or £500 whenever it comes to the UK, if it comes to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So it's priced above a Nintendo Switch and indeed the Steam Deck, or at least the base end of the Steam Deck. So it's going to be a hard sell, I think. But
if it's made like a Razer phone, it'll be gorgeous in the hand. All made of metal and cold to the touch. And yeah, I did like my Razer phones.
Yeah. Well, I do like it. I hope it works and becomes a thing. But it would be nice if they could, if you had different options. No. I think it's fine. I think it's fine the way it is. Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll go with that. Flapping traps about apps. First up is the YouTube account handles that have been announced, and you can now do them. If you go to youtube.com/@GarethMiles, you will find my YouTube channel. And yeah, I don't know why this has taken so long to come along. I remember Facebook years ago, and probably Bebo did it too, and Twitter as well, where you were just able to go to, say, twitter.com/GarethMiles, and there would be your account. YouTube's always had a difficult way of being able to find your channel address to be able to share with other people. But now they've finally done handles. You can give people the handles, and they can find you very easily.
Really?
Ted, anything to add?
What can I? I've got a YouTube account, and I've got about 4 videos up there. So will this work for me as well?
You have to go and reserve your channel, but
right.
if you get in there quickly, you'll be able to get Ted's knobbly knees videos. And
let's have a look then. Let's do it live on the show. YouTube,
Okay.
Ted. Well, if I go to my channel, your channel, here it is, your channel, right? Customized channel, blah blah. Where do you go to do it?
Oh, I don't know. It sprung up and showed me, and it went to yours has been pre-reserved.
Oh, well, maybe because
I'm Gareth Miles.
Yeah, it might be because I'm not being offered it because I'm not got enough videos and traffic. So
Oh, it could have some limitations that you need to have a certain amount of subscribers and that things and be popular.
forget that live experiment then.
Well, if you have an interesting YouTube channel, then you can go and do this too, and have a cool handle that you can give out to people. Because I was thinking, do I want my own name or do I want something cooler? Mm-hmm. And it's going to be harder for people coming along afterwards. My son has desires to set up a YouTube channel, but he's too young, so he'll have to wait until he's 18 before he does that. By which time someone could have already nobbled his name. Which is unfair. So I'll have to go in and get it for him, because I got his .com, and I'll give it to him whenever he gets a wee bit older. Okay, WhatsApp has some fake apps that are in various different app stores across the stratosphere, and it's been harvesting people's data, stealing it, and selling it, which Meta, or at least Mark Zuckerberg, has been telling people. So, Ted, do you have Hey Mods, Highlight Mobi, or Hey WhatsApp on your phone?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I'm trying to find my YouTube handle. What's the story about? Oh, WhatsApp use.
It's the next one in the list.
Oh yeah, fake data stolen Meta. Oh yeah, I don't care about WhatsApp. I don't use it. But
do you use Hey Mods, Highlight Mobi?
Hey Mods. What's Hey Mods?
It's one of the apps that some people have erroneously downloaded thinking it's WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I remember this story now. Yeah. So, there's a bunch of apps in the Play Store which have slipped under the radar, like Hey Mods and Highlight Mobi, and as you say, which have got these kind of hooks built into them where they're stealing people's data. And it would seem that Google are not yet onto it. And they are being very naughty, and they're trying to sort it out as we speak, but they haven't got there yet. So WhatsApp users, I'm not sure what they're being told to do by Meta, and in order.
Well, there's two-factor authentication built into WhatsApp now, so I would advise people to turn that on at least once and then turn it off again, so it's been activated and helps you work out whether or not you're safe.
Yeah. And also, who in their right mind? I think people have got too much. You're a WhatsApp user and it's working fine. Why would you be going around the Play Store looking for some other app called Hey Mods or Hey WhatsApp? Why would you be doing that? Unless you just are inquisitive like you and say, "Oh, that looks nice. I'll have a go at that."
I remember years ago, whenever my daughter was on MSN, and there was MSN Messenger, and they could get all kinds of mods for it that would allow you to share colours and things like that, and animated GIFs before they were a real thing. And they were installing and modifying MSN,
right.
And frequently it would crap out, and I would have to go in, delete the whole thing off, and put on a new copy of it, and then she would start arsing about with it again.
Right.
And I think that might be something that's happening with WhatsApp, possibly, where if it's called Hey Mods, that sounds like they're modifying it in some way to be able to do things.
Yeah, they're teasing people with more features, aren't they? And saying, you could be doing this in WhatsApp if you download this. Very, very naughty.
Yeah. And even on this article on Android Police, if you scroll down to the very bottom where there's a comment, someone has said, use the open source Mixin Messenger instead of WhatsApp. Yeah, okay. Go and use Mixin Messenger.
Yeah.
Because that's got 1.3k of reviews on Google Play.
Well, let's go to Google Play Store now and put in Hey WhatsApp and see if it's available to download. Hey WhatsApp and Hey WhatsApp. It doesn't.
I'll do Hey Mods while you're investigating.
No, it doesn't seem to be there. So maybe they've got on top of this now. But there are loads of other things that you can download.
Oh, Hey Mods is there, the
is
latest version. Yes.
Hey Mods.
Hey Mods. And that's actually called the latest version.
And has it got the Google green shield on it?
No, it doesn't.
Right. So that's another thing that you know what's safe and what isn't if you've got half a brain, because you don't download stuff from the Play Store that hasn't got the green badge.
But then kids don't generally do this. I frequently get requests from my son's Android tablet saying, can I download this voice-changing app to make me sound like a cat?
No.
Hey Mods, through this download update manager, anyone can access the latest version of OJFMGBYO Aero and other WhatsApp apps. Great.
Yeah. That's all a bit of a worry, really. I think people should be
more vigilant.
Well, yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? Is that you want it to be open. You want people to be able to develop and to move things forward and to try new things. But on the other hand, that opens it all up for, anyway. The best thing,
arson.
The best
arson
idea
about.
Yeah, The best idea is not to use WhatsApp or any Meta products. No Facebook, no Instagram, nothing. Just uninstall them all and use Google Chat.
Fair enough. That sorts that all out. There you go. Everyone has now this morning moved from WhatsApp. We're going to see in the news Mark Zuckerberg saying, "Oh, we only have one person left on WhatsApp, and that's Mr. Mark Zuckerberg." All right. So what's next? Android tablet layout for Gboard. Wow,
yeah.
It took this long for the Google to finally update their Gboard to deal with Android tablets. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Ted?
they're going all 12L, aren't they? And they're at last updating this. It's a good sign, though. I know it's taken a long time, but it's a good sign that they're still taking 12L seriously, and then presumably rolling that into 13 and 14 and whatever. And this is just another small example of them moving that forward. It's not available to. I've checked to see, but it's only in the beta channel at the moment. I haven't got the beta channel installed, so it's coming soon. But yeah, it looks nice. It looks much more user friendly. Bigger buttons, squarer buttons, round buttons above it. Bigger targets, and not crappy like it's designed for a phone, which is what it always has been.
Well, I've got it in front of me right now in landscape. Well, I did not this new version of it, but just using the current one, and I've used it frequently over the last number of weeks, and I've never had an issue with it. I'm quite happy with it. I always thought that it was somewhat optimized for Windows or for Android tablets, and I'd never really realized that it wasn't because I've.
On the right-hand side, have you got a search button?
Well, I'm quickly having a look to see if there is an update for it.
Right.
But yes, I'll go back and check the search button on the right-hand side.
Above the shift key on the right, is there a search button?
No.
No. So you have got the older version then.
Yeah. But it to be honest, it fills the screen. I've never had an issue with typing on it.
Okay.
It's always just worked quite nicely.
Well, the new version makes it even nicer. And if you look at the screenshots on the web page, you can see that the buttons are bigger and they're nicer targets. They're not elongated like they are in the previous version, the one you're looking at. The buttons are oblong and they're wider than they are tall. And okay, you're saying that you're used to it and that's all right with you, but I think that the newer version with square buttons and bigger, and they just look nicer, they look better. But
they look an awful lot like the iPad.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
Keyboard.
And probably SwiftKey as well. Everyone's copying each other.
SwiftKey, wow. I remember SwiftKey. Yeah. All right. Sniping tool. Oh, this depressed me a little bit this morning.
Oh, did it? I thought it was good news.
Yeah. It is good news, but I have managed to find a bad point about it because I use the sniping tool quite a lot in work.
Snipping.
Yes, that's true, snipping, but I call it sniping just for fun. And I've recommended it to people and they've used it and gone, wow, this is great. But if they do this change to it, there's no way they're going to let us use it and work anymore, so it's going to be gone.
What's the change?
It's going to be removed.
Do tell us.
Well, it's turning into a screen recorder, so you'll be able to record your movements on the screen. Mm-hmm. So that's not going to be good. It used to just be a good old-fashioned screenshot tool where you could highlight an area of the screen, take a shot of it, and then send it to someone if you need to. Now, it's going to have a record function that allows you to record what you're doing on the screen, which is going to be very insecure for people who are working in secure areas,
right.
And it'll be ripped off of all our machines, which means doing screenshots is going to be really, really difficult, especially if you're doing a training manual for someone. Or you're going to have to get up and walk across the room to say, no, you need to hit this bit, as opposed to taking a screenshot of it and sending it over to them and say, click that button.
Or take a photo of your screen and then send it by email to someone.
Yeah, if you have that
for the rest of us, who are not in your environment, I think this is really good, and it's about time, because up to now, people like gamers and other people that need to record their screen have had to use this workaround, which I did try once. I'm sure you know about it, the Xbox Game Bar thingy, where you can press, is it Control G or something?
Windows
G, and you can start recording your screen. And this one, I like the sniffing tool. I think the sniffing tool works really well for taking screenshots and very quickly sending something around. And this recording your screen would be really helpful. There have been few times that I would have been able to use this, and going forward, I think that, I'm not going to use it all day, every day, and I'm not a gamer, so I'm not going to do it for gaming, but sometimes you just want to take a recording of what you're doing to demonstrate something, and I think it'll be really good. So there, two sides of the argument.
Well, yes, I do agree in the long run, but I'm just thinking from my working environment, it's going to make things a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Why can't they just do a different app? Leave the snipping tool and then have a recording tool that's a separate application. Don't build them together. That's all I ask. Please, Microsoft, have mercy.
There must be another sniffing tool. The depth of Windows. There's so many applications and there's so much software out there. There must be someone else that does a sniffing tool that you could use.
Yeah, but where it's already built into the system, you can't add more without having to request it through the highest order. You have to go to the Queen. No, the King now, actually, and sit down and say, listen, Kingy, we need a snipping tool on Windows desktops in the government, especially whenever it comes to dealing with people's personal information.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
We need a thingy, Kingy. We need a thingy, Kingy.
Yes, or the kingy thingy. Oh, no, don't touch me. Google has rolled out support for passkeys on Android and Chrome. Those who don't know what passkeys are, Ted's going to tell you right now because they sound pretty sweet.
I think it's what Apple have been doing for years, isn't it? The key, the kind of the advantage for a walled garden system like Google, for example, is that not only can you get it to remember your passwords and logins and everything in Android or in Chrome, which is what I do all the time, but it also will work cross-device, as I understand it. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that's listening to this and says that I'm talking crap, but I think that this change will make it cross-Google devices, and it means that what we've got used to doing inside Chrome, for example, it will just work in any Google application that needs a passkey. And as I say, I remember that Apple have been doing this for years. So if you go from one Apple device to another, as long as you're logged in, those keychains, that's it, they call them keychains, don't they? And those keychains save all that stuff, and it knows who you are. And with a fingerprint scan or a face scan or some sort of biometric authentication, you just get the system knows your data, and I think it's good. I'm sure it's open to hacking and security problems, but that's Google's problem, not mine.
Yeah. They're not going to be calling you in to sort it out. Right. No. That's good to know. No, it looks like a pretty good way of, just simplifying everything that's going on at the moment, where we're having trouble getting in and out of various different things. Trying to log into Spotify during the week was a pain in the ass. Yeah. Really was. Because I needed to go and get the password out of my password manager, and I thought there was some reason, I can't remember what it was, but I was having trouble getting in there, and I had to thumbprint and put in two-factor and go through my authenticator as well. So, it was just hard work, and I ended up going, screw it, it's not worth it. And walked away from it. I'll just leave that and go and do something much more fun instead.
Yeah, I'll make a bit of toast.
Yeah, and I've had YubiKeys as well, where you just tap and it recognises you and you get the login. But whenever something doesn't work, it's problematic. Mm-hmm. If they can just get this security thing down, it would be great. Hopefully, passkey will get us there.
Hurrah!
Yes, hurrah! Yeah. I don't want to do this one, Ted. I really don't. This
Cough
sounds
and
like a
Snore.
lot of crap.
Cough and Snore is one of the Pixel 7's unique pixel-only thingies that they brought out, and it is something that tracks you. So when you go to bed at night, you put the phone by your head, you switch this thing on, and it tracks during the night if you cough too much. It gives you a summary in the morning of how much coughing you've done, how much snoring you've done, how loud your snoring has been, if it's problematic. And the bottom line here is that they're selling this on the back of the fact that you might need medical intervention and you might not know it. Same as any other biometric stuff, really. And if you snore too much and you cough too much in the night, then you need to see a doctor. It's another attempt by Google to just put in more well-being features, and I'm sure no one will use it.
No, I'm sure they won't either. I remember when, was it Amazon Underground or the Amazon App Store first came around and they started handing out free apps. One of the first ones they handed out was a sleep monitor thing. Mm-hmm. And it was all the rage at the time. I remember all my work chums were trying it out and going, oh, such and such snores, ooh, and then promptly forgot about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited about this if I tried.
Well, it plugs in. It's supposed to plug into the well-being stuff, and it also plugs into the bedtime feature in the clock. So it's just Google trying to look like they're doing the decent thing because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and it's like, congratulations, you managed to wake up from that night's sleep.
Yeah.
You're not dead.
You've got to face another day now.
Yeah. Well, we'll move into something a bit more, blood boiling, and that's Netflix. As a ported plan. This is going to be Fiverr. Basically replacing what the Fiverr contract was that you had with Netflix before. Ted, you were on the £5 Netflix contract, weren't you?
$5.99.
What do you say about now getting ads mixed in with that amount that you're paying? Are you furious about that?
I'm not going to do it because I can avoid this by going up £1 to $6.99. But yes, I'm furious that I've got to pay an extra £1 a month in order to do that. The $4.99 a month one is the one that we're talking about here, which is coming in November. Well, it's coming in November in America. I'm not sure if it's coming here, when it's going to be coming here. Although it does suggest that 12...
November 3rd, isn't it?
Yeah, 12 countries will be getting it on at the same time. But then there's another statement that says those in the United States will get it on the 3rd of November, like it's not the other countries. Anyway, I'm not going to do it because I can't stand adverts, and I'd rather pay £1 a month extra not to have them. The bigger problem is, though, for people, I think, that want to save £2 a month, is that you don't get any downloads. And I mean, most people are not bothered about that. But I share an account with my parents, and downloading Netflix stuff is quite important to us. And so I need to be able to continue to do that so that we can both use the account at the same time before they stop us doing that somehow.
Well, there are a bunch of other limitations as well, in that the maximum resolution is going to be 720p.
Mine is anyway.
And also certain content won't be available, which they say isn't down to them, it's down to their licensing agreement. And I can't work out how that actually enters into it. But it also brings in the idea that they say there's going to be 4 to 6 minutes worth of ads during a 1 hour piece of content. They can quite easily change that as time goes by. So in 6 months' time, you could have 10 minutes worth of advertising, and then this time next year you can have 17 or 18 minutes, where you're then getting into the realms of ITV or various different American channels that just have advertising all over the show. And before you know it, there's going to be ticker tapes across the bottom of the Netflix content for this bottom one. It's bonkers that people already have to pay. You are on record as being annoyed about Amazon Freevee. Advertising, but that's totally free.
No, it's not. It's a Prime thing, isn't it?
No, my mother doesn't play Prime, but I've installed the Prime app on her. I think it was a Roku I had to put it on, and she can access the live Freevee
really?
TV through that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different free channels that you can get with advertising. It's just Netflix that are now advertising and charging you a subscription to do so as well. And that is just plain greed. Absolute greed.
Or paying £2 more and not to have all that.
Well, that forces people to have to do that. Yes. People on limited budgets and things.
I do agree.
At a time whenever this is the one thing that they can have.
Yeah, but I still think that if you make good use, I think that £7 a month, if you make good use of Netflix, and there's a lot of enjoyment to be had from Netflix, I think £7 a month is kind of okay. I've got a movie subscription which is £9.99. No, in fact, it's £10.99 a month. And there's an awful lot less on that. You could argue that it's better quality, but there's tons more stuff on Netflix, even if half of it is rubbish. And, YouTube Premium is $11.99 a month if you do it officially. And I just think that Netflix is still quite good value, personally.
I think that Amazon Prime is by far and away the best value for anyone considering having television. Or taking out a subscription plan, because not only do you get the shopping side of things where you get the free delivery on everything that you purchase, you also get a massive amount of content. You get free monthly games if you've got a computer. You get all of the photo storage as well. Amazon have knocked it out of the park with their Prime subscription. It would be madness of them to start tinkering around with that. And that's the one thing that worries me now is like, well, why not? Disney are entertaining this idea, and I think they're sitting back and watching to see how Netflix do. Yeah. And if they bring this in, then and it works for them, and people don't massively leave Netflix, then they'll be able to put up their prices and bring in this lower tier as well. It's going to change the way that we deal with streaming, and I think ultimately, it's going to devastate streaming in the years to come, where you're going to have to pay the absolute premium for something without advertising, which I think Google have already done with YouTube Premium, but then Netflix can never compare to the amount of content that you get off of YouTube.
No.
Because it's just absolutely jam-packed full. Now, YouTube does have unofficial ads that you end up getting thrown at, and I'm so sick of people saying Squarespace and ExpressVPN. Like, the last thing you need is to know about Express bloody VPN if you've been on YouTube for the last year. Yes, it's there. Stop fucking telling me about it.
Yeah, agreed.
Sorry.
No, I agree. The question is, though, do you think that Netflix should have done what Amazon have done with Freevee? So they could have, instead of doing what they've done, they could have done a Freevee instead, and that would have been it.
Yeah, it's daylight robbery that they're actually asking people $4.99 to be advertised at.
Okay. I didn't realise that Freevee was available to everyone, even without Prime. I've learned.
It's a wee bit harder to get working depending on what streaming device you have, but you can get it there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
Go grab it.
Yeah.
Although if you're Ted, don't, because then you complain about it.
Yeah. And the 720p thing doesn't bother me at all, as you know. But if you had a 4K telly, I suppose it might do.
Yeah. It will bother a number of people whenever they. But I guess maybe students who have a very limited budget will probably benefit from something like this. But what student isn't going to be just going into their halls of residence and sticking in their parents' details?
Well, that's what I do effectively with my mum and dad. We share this account, and eventually they're trialling in South America ways in which they can stop us doing that. So I'm waiting.
Oh, right, you're doing a Nadine Dorris, are you? Right.
I'm doing what?
Nadine Dorris.
What does that mean?
She bragged and was the question timey thing that she was handing out her details to her parents and her children and everyone who was anyone could get onto her Netflix, and she hadn't realised that was against Netflix's rules and guidelines.
Well, it's not against the rules because technically You see, you can't have it both ways. They tell me that my static home is on a holiday park, so it's not an address. This, where I'm staying, is not an address, which means that I have to have an address somewhere. So technically, as far as everyone's concerned, my address is at my parents' house. That's it. So if that is true, then it's totally legitimate for us as a family to share a Netflix account. The fact that I'm accessing it away from the house is the bit that's in question, and that's the bit that they're going to try and stop. And if you remember back, they were talking about introducing a scheme whereby you're allowed to do that for 2 weeks at a time. So if you went on holiday, then you'll be able to take it with you and use it on holiday, assuming that your holidays are 2 weeks and not 3 weeks. And then, that would be acceptable. But watching things at the same time is the issue. And that's what we use the download feature for. It's a bit complicated, but...
That's why you were on your chopper the other day, zipping up. To sync your downloads and then drive back home again.
And when you get back,
your tablet.
When you get back to to my static, you then have to make sure that you take the device into airplane mode before you try to start to watch it, because otherwise the other people at home can't watch it at the same time. They know you're trying to watch it at the same time. Anyway, I think they're going to clamp down on that, and it'll probably be done by ISP addresses, or by, I don't know, they're going to do something to try and stop that, though.
But then what happens if you're behind? ExpressVPN, sponsored by Squarespace. No.
Yes.
If you're using a VPN, which is so heavily advertised on YouTube and things like that, and probably one of the main advertisers on Netflix, which would be funny, they'll end up cancelling you because you're using that service.
Yeah, you can't do it. They won't be able to do anything about my downloading activities because they don't know I'm online. So unless they stop us downloading completely, I can download stuff at my mum's house, and or here or anywhere, but go into airplane mode and they don't know that I'm watching it. It's not online, so they can't know.
Okay.
So I can't see how they're going to get around that one.
Well, we'll see. I do think that Netflix are going to continue to hemorrhage customers until they have only one left, and that'll probably be Mark Zuckerberg as well. So it'll be on WhatsApp and Netflix and be the only one there. Yeah. Okay. So what's new in the world of Chromebooks?
Nothing much. Moving on.
Okay.
the Chrome. I regularly look at Chrome Unboxed and Chrome About Chrome and these kind of Chrome websites to try and feed things for our lovely show. And it's the last few weeks it's been a real struggle. Nothing seems to be happening very much. The only thing I picked up this week was that Chromebooks are soon going to receive a dedicated restart button like Windows has, which it's never had before. So when that happens, you'll be able to go to the taskbar, click on the controls, and where you shut it off with the close button, a sub-menu, context menu will pop up and give you the same as Windows gives you: start, restart, shut down, or whatever. And that's it. That's the news of the week.
Wow,
Come on,
I
Chrome.
think I saw this at the leading news on the Daily Mail the other day, and it was on the front page of the Sun too.
Come on, Chromebook people. Let's have some things to talk about, please.
Yes. Well, we'll move into Harkback then, because we're getting on there. It's 1 hour and 37 minutes into the show, and well, I suppose we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to talk about on Harkback this week was it's a bit of a niche product, but I came across it the other day and thought, I liked that because I have one. This is the Amstrad NC200. There is the NC100 as well, but we're primarily focusing on the 200 because it's a wee bit more exciting. This was essentially a laptop, and what you could do is you could flip it up in a kind of cyan-y kind of way and see a long, what are the size of the screen? There's a letterbox style screen, which was like sort of 2 inches by 10 inches, that kind of thing. It had a graphical mode of 480 by 128 pixels. So that's kind of a strange shape. I've left it down in the house because I was having a wee play with it this morning. But it has a bunch of different applications that are pre-installed in it. You can't really add much to it, but it had a 3.5-inch disk drive on the side, but it also had a PCMCIA slot as well, so you could have two different sources for saving your bits and pieces. You could, whenever you turn it on, you're greeted by a rather friendly menu that's nicely designed, and you can use keyboard combinations to open up the word processor or the spreadsheet. There was even a little gaming section as well that had a couple of Tetris-y type games and things that you could play on that limited little screen. It entertained. It had a speaker as well that would beep at you. There was a brightness button that would go up and down. The one thing that I don't quite understand, given that Amstrad had made the CPC 464 and various other computers over the years, was that the cursor keys were badly designed. You had left and right beside each other, and then up and down beside that again, and the up button was above the down button. So they covered the corner of the keyboard, so you couldn't use them as cursors, which was weird. There was a bunch of different functions that were built into it. There was the word processor, the diary, the calculator, the address book, spreadsheet, a serial terminal as well, which was kind of interesting. But then you could there were functions as well. You could format a disk on it and then be able to save stuff to the disk. And then there was the terminal allowed you to be able to save your stuff onto a computer as well and sync things over. I never actually managed to do that, to work exactly how that worked and integrated into it. But you could also install the old operating system as well, CPM, on it as well, and get the most out of it that way too, which is something I never did. It would run off, I think it was 9 or maybe 6 AA batteries.
Wow.
Well, hey there, Ted. Or you could use the power adapter as well, which would power it all day if you needed it to. It was a groovy little laptop, and I really quite enjoyed it. There's not too much you can do with it, and it does get boring quite quick. But I would imagine that businessmen and things like that would be able to whip it out and do a quick spreadsheet or draft a quick word processed document, letter, or something like that. And there wasn't even email on it, so you couldn't send it. This sort of predated the email revolution that came along, so you would have to swap disks and things like that. But being able to, unlike Amstrad in the past, it supported the 3.5-inch disc, so you were able to save stuff to disk and then give it to someone, and it would be in an MS-DOS formatted format. Did you ever have one of these, or did you ever have sight of one?
I've got a sneaking suspicion that I might have had one, but I just can't. I do remember those stupid wonky cursor keys, and I can't quite. And I remember it having a disk drive in the side. I kind of. This was the time that I was really into Scion stuff, and I mean, they were basically trying to copy the Scion, weren't they? Even the aspect ratio of the screen is very Scion, or very Nokia communicator in style. But yeah, I think you're right. It would appeal to people that needed to do some quick typing. You're on a train, you've got your pack of AA batteries, and you can just do some typing and form some, you're writing a speech for something when you get where you're going and that sort of thing. What's the numbers across the bottom of the screen? It goes from 1 to 10, is it? It's not a very good picture, but
oh yeah.
And then underneath it's got some writing which I can't make out. Is that something like the soft buttons we had on the Scion devices as well? Can't quite work that out. Do you remember?
Probably. I can't remember. It's function control for your function buttons.
Oh, okay. Are they soft keys?
So you hold down function and then press 1, and it will do spelling.
Oh, okay.
The spelling correction tool.
Right.
And then function 2 would open the documents folder. Function 3 would be the configuration, where there's if you have a look down in the bottom left beside the cursor keys, there's a button that says secret menu. it's not exactly a secret, but the words on the button itself say secret menu, and whenever you open that up, it gives you a, you can play around with certain functions, but it's really limited functions, like being able to choose where you save stuff to.
Right.
I think that was one of the options, or turning it on and off the beep when you turn it on, or if you click something. Yeah.
What's can you remember what the thing is to the right of the on-off button? So there's like a black slidey thing.
That's the brightness. So you can save your battery by turning the brightness down.
And is that a capacitive slider?
No. Yeah. Well, it's a fully plastic piece of sliding button that you slide left and right.
Right.
So it had that, which was useful, so you could save in your battery life and then not be able to see the screen.
I like this. I think it would for people who do writing on the fly. I think it would be really nice. And it looks like it's bigger. I mean, you've got one there. How physically big is it?
It is quite big. It's maybe about 12 inches across.
You see, that's better than...
It is down in the house. I forgot to bring it up with me.
But what I was going to say was that makes it better than a Scion in many ways, because the Scion keyboard, clever as it is and great as it is to put in your pocket, you could do some more serious typing on this than you can kind of peck and hunt on a little Scion keyboard. I like it.
Well, I do have one little story about it. It's actually the NC100, which is the one that came before it, and it has an even smaller display again, but it has that full keyboard on it. My father, when he became quite ill and he wasn't able to communicate with people, he wasn't able to speak, but his brain was still working, and we tried the iPad so that he could type stuff, because there were things that he needed to tell us before he passed away, just because he didn't have all his props in place. And whenever we gave him the iPad, he would frequently make mistakes when he was typing, or he would hit a button and the whole thing would go away, and he would lose the document that he was working on and stuff like that. So I actually dug out the NC100 because it had physical buttons. Yeah. And you couldn't really make mistakes. You opened up the word processor and he was able to sit and type and make coherent sentences, because he couldn't make the big mistakes that a touchscreen would bring out. And that allowed him to be able to communicate certain things, like what we do with the shares and that kind of thing. It was a bit of a lifesaver, and that's one of the reasons why I bought the NC200 as well. Because it just had more that he could do stuff, but we never got around to actually using it with him. But the NC100 allowed us to be able to put together a few documents of him telling us stuff that we needed to know.
And the 100 looks like it doesn't fold. Is that right?
No. I have it behind me here. It's just a one big lump. Yeah. This has a lot more functionality and a bigger screen and more bits and pieces that you can do with it. I love this. It's a really cool device, but once you've sort of gone through the 6 functions that it can do, you're like, is that it? Yeah. And you can't go and if you could load side load, or not even side load, you can overwrite the ROM, I think, with CPM and have that running. And get some of the programs that run on that might sort of have a more attractive shelf life for the device. But spec wise,
128 kilobytes of RAM.
That's right. That's all it had, and it ran on the good old Z80 that you'd find on the Spectrum and the Amstrad of the day, and it's 64 keys. There was BBC Basic on there as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
That came out, and it would do text mode of 80 characters and 16 lines, and it weighed 1.2 kilograms. I don't know if that includes the batteries, but yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, decent little device, and I suppose it came at the right time, that people were starting to get mobile and needing to take computers with them.
Yeah, very nice.
Cool. So, we'll move into Bargain Basement. Let us know if you had an Amstrad NC200, and if you managed to get more out of it than I have, because I'd like to do more with it, if it's possible. Mm-hmm. Bargain Basement, Ted, you can start us off.
Sony Link Buds. These are the ones with a hole in, the Polo earbuds. Where you can hear what's going on around you. During the Prime Day last week, I noticed they got down to £103 at one point.
Wow.
The proper price is 150, but today they're 114. Well, actually, they might not be today. Yesterday they were 114 £, which is 23% off. I still quite fancy trying a pair of these, but I don't need them, so I'm not going to be silly and waste the money. But yeah, nice.
Yeah, and they come in that nice sort of grey, paint-spackled grey colour.
Yeah. Well, there's a
Looks
white.
like someone's had a bit of an
You
accident.
could have a white pair if you want. White or, grey. But same price. But yeah, apparently they're quite nice.
Nice. Cool. I've got a bit of storage here, which is the Transcend 128 gigabyte. Balls. Never mind. The deal's over. Ted, what's next with you?
That's the end of that one. Yes. My next one is the LG X Boom. I don't know if you remember, but you bought one of these speakers onto the show once before. The LG X Boom. I think it was the bigger version of this one.
Yeah.
But this is a dinky little kind of pill-shaped. I suppose they're going after JBL on this, but it looks like it's really nice. I'd love to have one and try it and see what it's like. But anyway, this has got 40% off at the moment. Instead of £50, it's 30. So it makes it cheaper than the Sony SRS XB13, which I bang on about sometimes. I think the one, there it is on the screen. Look, the one that you brought before was the PL7, which is like bigger.
Oh, look, there it is on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting beside you, Ted.
You're looking at the same page as me, though. The Jelly Bean one is really cute. It's called the PL2. It's called the Go PL2. 10 hours of battery life, IPX5, water resistant. Just looks really cute. And I'd love to have one and try it out. I might order one and then send it back. That would be very naughty, wouldn't it?
Right, it would, absolutely. Mm.
Looks nice, though.
There's a PL7 as well that's down to £99. It's a bigger version. It was 170.
That's the one that you brought on before, I think. And it's, similarly discounted, you're right.
Yeah, decent-looking speakers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fun for all the family. Mm-hmm. Back to a bit of storage here. But it's the... Hang on a second, that's the same link. Nuts. I've got the wrong link in there.
It's not going very well, this bargain basement, is it?
No, it's not. I'm having a terrible time.
I think you've approached it with an air of amused tolerance. While you're doing that, I'll go on to the next one, which is the only new power bank portable charger. Portable chargers are kind of 10 a penny out these days, but this one just looks really nice and different, and it's well priced. It's been reduced by 45% from £40 to £22, and it's got a dual torch thingy going on the top, which is nice. A lot of these power banks have got torches, but two. It's a twin headlights thing going on. 27,000 milliamp hour battery for £22 is pretty good, actually. It looks like it's quite dinky. It's got a carry handle thingy, lanyard hole thingy, USB-C and a micro USB input and output, two USB-As. 20 watt power fast charging if you need it. I think it just looks like, if you're in for a power bank at the moment, that just looks like a really nice one. It's also got it looks like an OLED panel. It probably isn't. It's probably an LCD, but it looks like an OLED panel. It's very bright and cheerful, reading out what's left and what it's doing. I really fancy one. I really wish at this point I needed or could use one of these, because that's the one I get.
Fair enough. We can't get it here in Northern Ireland. Doesn't ship to us. Ugh. But that's dirt cheap, actually. I would actually like one of those. I have been in the market for a power bank recently, because all of mine are micro USB. I only have one that's USB Type-C.
Yeah.
So that would have done nicely.
Yeah, it's a nice looking unit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good amount.
Yeah.
Have you sorted out your troubles yet?
I have, yes. I've got it back because on the Prime Day last week, one of the big things that they were doing was solidly good value for money when it comes to SSDs. They were good deals, really good deals. Say what you like about Prime Day and stuff like that. The SSDs were selling for good prices. One of the sales has continued to carry on, which is for the crucial P3 4 terabyte M.2 PCIe Gen 3 NVMe internal SSD. It's down in price from £390 to £300 or £299.99p. For 4 terabytes, that's crackingly good value. It has been around about this price earlier on in the year in August, but right now I wish they were offering me 5 monthly payments, but I think I still have one going. So they haven't offered me on this at the moment. I would have that at £300. I'm not going to pay £300 for it right today, but if you need a 4 terabyte SSD, now's the time to buy, and there's a link in the show notes for you to do so.
Really, very nice.
Great.
Talking about those 5 months to pay things, since their sale the other day, mine have disappeared again. It's really odd what they do with that. I haven't seen it. Well, I was kind of surfing around looking for bargain basements yesterday, and I just happened to notice that not once had I seen one of those offers. And I'm sure that's happened since Prime Day. Really odd.
Bizarre. I wonder if is it just then Amazon products that would have it?
Well, if I look up a Kindle, that it was offering that before. So a Kindle Paperwhite.
Well, I will say, while you're telling us that,
Yeah.
I just happened to click through the Shark Upright Vacuum Cleaner, and I'm being offered 5 monthly payments on
Shark
that.
Upright Vacuum Cleaner. Let's have a look and see if I'm...
That's the NZ801 UK. It's down in price from £329 to £229, and you can get a 5 monthly payments of £45.80p.
N, what is it?
NZ801 UK.
801
I could send you the link
UK.
if you want.
Well, I should better get it now. NK. T29. Right, yeah, I found it. Okay, so let's see if they're offering... No, they're not, you see.
Oh.
But on the Kindle Paperwhite, they were offering me the 5 months. It seems to go in seasons, you know. I think because for a while they've been offering that to me, and now it's suddenly dried up again, apart from with Kindles.
Yeah, because I do like going through the lightning deals and just having a look and go, well, I suppose I could get that for whatever £1 a month. Mm-hmm. There's no coffee machines, though. There's a fridge. No, I don't need a fridge. Well, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is this chimes in with something that you frequently talk about, and that's your Elgato Stream Deck. This is similar. This is the Xence Lab, XENCE Labs Quick Keys. This is a wireless programmable keypad with 40 customizable shortcut keys, a programmable keyboard with OLED display built onto the front of it, and it's designed for graphics tablets. But I watched a video on YouTube about this quite recently where someone was just using it in day-to-day computing. And it has a rotary knob at the top with a button in the centre that allows you to be able to change profiles. It can be wireless. It has a battery inside of it that you can charge, and it lasts about a month before you need to charge it on USB Type-C. There are 8 buttons on the front with a screen that shows you what each button does and allows you to hit the quick key and change it. And then you can use the rotary knob to go through different profiles. But there's very intelligent software that runs on the computer as well. And if, say, for example, you're playing a game and you've got one of those profiles set up, it can automatically switch it for you across to that application or game, and you can use the buttons there. So if you were to jump from Photoshop to Doom and then back out to Word or 3D Studio Max, if that's still a thing, you can jump between each of those, and the software should change the unit without you having to touch anything. But if it doesn't, you can just use the rotary knob and the button inside of it to change it yourself. I thought this was a really cool device. And you can take it with you as well and walk around the room holding it and pressing buttons, so you could skip through music tracks if you're using it that way. And it's down in price from £125 to £95.99. And if they were offering me 5 monthly payments, I would buy one right now, but they're not, so I'm not just yet.
The cads.
Oh,
What do you know? Do you know what that is? That a fingerprint scan? Oh no, it's a set button. I thought that thing down the bottom might have been a fingerprint scanner, but it's not. It's just the button you press to set whatever your settings are. I suppose. I really want one of these.
Yeah. I think I will get one. I'll wait until I'm offered it in 5 monthly payments, and then I'll take it.
Are you sure it's USB-C on the top, or it's not micro USB? Is it? Because I can't see a picture of the USB port. But
I believe from that video I saw that it was USB. So, but I'll go and have a look.
No, that's fine if you're confident.
I'm not confident now that you're challenging me.
Yeah. It's also.
I know what I'll do. Fine.
It's also. I just had a look on Keeper, and it was 76 quid at one point. When was that?
Ooh.
Thursday, Friday, 1st of October. Yeah, for about a week at the end of September, it was 76 quid, which is a bit of a shame, isn't it? Because if it was 76 quid, I would have probably bought it by now. Maybe Black Friday.
There's a USB Type-C connector on it, according to one of the reviews.
But I don't really need it. I'd love to have it. I've got these Stream Decks in front of me, and they do just the same thing, really. Well, I haven't got a rotary knob.
Excuse me. See if you go down to the review section. There is someone who has one of these, 2 Steam Decks, and a Loop Deck, and their name isn't Aidan Bell, I don't think. They've gone overkill. They do have a keyboard as well, but I don't know why they need the keyboard. They've got all these Steam Decks and things like that. Stream Decks, around their device.
You're right, though. Being able to just put it. Well, not put it in your pocket, but use it as a remote control for your music and walk to another room and still use it. I wonder how much range it provides. Very interesting. I'm really interested in that. That's really cool.
Yeah. It is possible that by the end of the month I might have one, because I do fancy this. I think this kind of it just does what I want it to do, a wee bit more flexibly than the Stream Deck.
Right.
And then whenever you mention your Stream Deck on the show again, I'll be able to poo you and say I've got one better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the rotary dial thingy, it makes a difference, because you get those on the Loop Deck, and the Loop Deck thingy is a different beast because it's got those 6 rotary dials. But anyway, I love all this gear. It's great.
Yeah. So I'll hopefully have one of those maybe by the time we record again. Hopefully, maybe.
Hurrah.
Who knows? Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can. Goodbye. You can find us at, you can email us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can find us on Twitter as well, at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter too, and that's at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. And then there's garethmiles.com, where you can find out all about me and my nonsense that I'm doing, which might increase depending on whether or not I do things differently next week. Who knows? I might. Ted, where can they find you?
And also, don't forget, you can be found on at Gareth Miles in YouTube.
Oh, very true. Yes.
I'm simply at tedsalmon.com, simple being the key phrase, which is where you'll find links to all the other audio podcasts, all of our MeWe groups. If you're not part of the MeWe group, then do come and join us and have a nice chat with us and let us know what tech you're using, which we can talk about on the show. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that, and I'd be very grateful at paypal.me/Ted Salmon. Thank you so much once again.
Groovy. We'll talk to you all next week. Have a lovely week. Enjoy the weather. And maybe Ted will have an electric car by the time we tune back in. Bye.
Bye.